So what happens when a major WNBA star steps into a completely different sport? And what if that sport gives her more attention than her own league ever did? That's exactly what happened with Caitlin Clark at the RSM Classic. She didn't just pretend.
Okay. So hard. Did you put snacks in here? Yeah. You guys want to get out here and hit it hard?
So Caitlin Clark is playing golf again and she played in another pro-am, and as expected, you know, Caitlin Clark golf is the most relevant thing in women's basketball.
But here's the thing. While golf fans and legends were cheering her on, her own WNBA peers, not so much. They weren't exactly thrilled. So is this just jealousy, or is there something much deeper going on? Let's break it down.
Continue to work the cameras back.
Pro-ams right now. I mean, it's unbelievable, isn't it? I'm a big fan of Caitlin Clark, obviously, being a women's sport, and there's not a lot that this young woman cannot do. This is her second shot into the par 4 third.
Okay, so let's dive into the details. Caitlin Clark has been making huge waves for years. She was a 2024 WNBA Rookie of the Year, right? She's built a reputation as one of basketball's most exciting young athletes, known for those impossible three-pointers, and for leading her team like a seasoned pro. But her journey hasn't exactly been smooth. Her fierce competitiveness and self-assurance haven't always been embraced, even within her own league. Then she enters the RSM Classic, not just as an athlete, but as a basketball star looking for a challenge and some fun. For Caitlin, golf is her escape. And get this, she didn't just show up, she actually performed incredibly well, teaming up with Ryder Cup captain Zach Johnson and PGA Commissioner Jay Monahan. She proved right away she wasn't your typical amateur. We're talking 270-yard drives. Her focus and charm impressed everyone, even herself. And when she messed up, like that opening drive into the water, she simply shook it off and refocused. That resilience is exactly what makes Caitlin special. But here's the crazy part. While the golf world celebrated her, the WNBA stayed completely silent. No congratulations. No social media posts. Nothing. And it wasn't an oversight, it was intentional. For people who haven't been following, this might seem strange. But for those watching her career closely, Caitlin Clark has often been viewed as a disruptor. Someone who doesn't fully fit the league's preferred narrative, the RSM Classic. She wasn't just hitting incredible shots. She was connecting with fans everywhere. People lined up for autographs. Kids looked up to her. Parents thanked her for being a great role model. Even Zach Johnson's daughter wanted a photo. These weren't just cute moments. They were a masterclass in building a brand. Caitlin wasn't just expanding her fan base. She was building bridges between sports, showing the world that women athletes can go far beyond their primary field. Meanwhile, tensions began bubbling in the WNBA. We saw those slightly vague tweets popping up from accounts linked to certain players. Comments like, "Stay in your lane," and "Funny how some people get all this attention." These weren't random remarks. Caitlin's rising visibility was clearly rubbing some people the wrong way. And remember, this isn't the first time she's faced pushback. Early in her career, there were whispers that she should tone it down because she was too arrogant. Critics labeled her confidence as a problem, even though male athletes get praised for that exact same trait. Caitlin usually ignored the noise, kept leading her team, and focused on playing her game. But this time, the criticism felt different. It wasn't about her performance. It was about her stepping outside basketball and still succeeding. Now, let's talk about how the golf world reacted. Jay Monahan, the PGA commissioner, couldn't stop praising her. He even called her transcendent, a word rarely used even for professional golfers. Zach Johnson, a legend himself, described her as a rare breed and said her humility was her greatest strength. These are seasoned pros admiring not just her skill, but her character. But maybe the most telling moment came when a crowd at the RSM Classic started chanting Caitlin Clark. The star of a basketball court was suddenly dominating a golf tournament. That's wild. Meanwhile, the WNBA stayed silent. They had a huge opportunity to benefit from her crossover appeal, and they completely missed it. Some say it's envy. Others argue Caitlin doesn't fit the league's preferred image. Whatever the reason, the lack of support was impossible to ignore. She was raising awareness for women's sports and for her own league, and they couldn't even send a simple congratulations out on social media. Golf fans were losing their minds, praising Caitlin for breaking stereotypes and bringing new audiences into the sport. WNBA fans, though, were split. Some said she was boosting the league's visibility. Others claimed she was overshadowing teammates or chasing the spotlight. It's that classic tall poppy syndrome, the moment someone rises too high. Others try to cut them down, but Caitlin didn't seem bothered. In a post-round interview, she responded to the criticism with total grace. She said, "I'm just here to enjoy myself and improve." She called golf a challenging but wonderful escape, and she was grateful for the opportunity. Her comments were simple yet powerful. She's not trying to impress anyone. She's just playing for herself. That mindset is exactly what makes Caitlin so genuine and captivating. She's unfazed by the noise and focused on her goals. Whether she's hitting a 270-yard drive or a deep three-pointer, she's pursuing her passion her own way. That kind of self-assurance is rare, especially when athletes are often pressured to conform. Even the LPGA had stars chiming in, saying they'd love to see Caitlin play more. Fans adored her, calling her a breath of fresh air and praising her for bridging the gap between golf and basketball. This massive outpouring of support stood in sharp contrast to the WNBA's indifference. Let's be honest, the WNBA's silence wasn't just disappointing, it was revealing. It showed a league that struggles to market its own players and seems unsure of how to handle someone like Caitlin. Her rise through pure talent and personality highlights the league's weaknesses, especially its reluctance to embrace one of its brightest stars. Instead of celebrating her accomplishments, the league, and a few players, chose to keep their distance. It was a huge missed opportunity. The truth is, Caitlin doesn't need the WNBA's validation. Her actions speak louder than their silence. At the RSM Classic, she was more than just a golfer messing around. She inspired a whole new generation of young fans, many of whom had never even watched a WNBA game before. Their parents, avid golfers, suddenly found themselves curious about her basketball career. Caitlin Clark was building a bridge the WNBA never bothered to create. And despite the backlash from some WNBA players, her star only grew stronger. She wasn't just a basketball player or a golfer. She was a trailblazer. While her detractors tried to pull her down, Caitlin stayed focused on what mattered, enjoying the journey and inspiring others. So what's next for Caitlin Clark and the WNBA? Will the league finally embrace her success? Or will politics and jealousy keep getting in the way? And what about the golf world? Could we see Caitlin in more pro competitions or even something bigger? One thing is certain. Caitlin Clark isn't waiting for anyone's approval. She's carving her own path, and the world is watching. The WNBA's silence wasn't just a message. It was a choice. While Caitlin Clark was being recognized as a rising star in golf, her own league chose to ignore her achievements, and some of its players made openly disparaging remarks. But here's the ironic part. Their negativity only made Caitlin's fan base grow stronger. Let's talk about the fallout, the fan reactions, and what this all means for Caitlin's future. When she wrapped up her incredible performance at the RSM Classic, she probably didn't expect it to spark a firestorm. It was supposed to be a fun challenge, a chance to show her competitive spirit in a different arena. But instead of being celebrated, Caitlin found herself at the center of a growing dispute. Those subtle jabs from WNBA players started escalating after her standout performance. One well-known athlete even tweeted, "Golf enthusiast, she's not that good, so don't get it twisted. I wrote because I'm tired of people hyping mediocrity just because they like her personality." Wow, these weren't random trolls. These were her peers. People who know exactly how hard it is to succeed in professional sports. But instead of supporting her, some chose to tear her down. Meanwhile, the golf world responded in complete opposite way. Supporters couldn't stop praising her calm presence, her natural ability, and her connection with fans. PGA Commissioner Jay Monahan said it perfectly. What she brings to the game is transcendent. It's more than talent. It's heart, humility, and the type of competitive fire sports desperately need. His praise wasn't shallow. It was genuine appreciation for someone who stepped out of her comfort zone and absolutely delivered. But as Caitlin gained admirers in one world, she lost support in another. The WNBA's refusal to acknowledge her success became impossible to ignore. This is one of their biggest stars. Someone bring attention to women's sports in new and exciting ways, and the league couldn't even post a congratulatory message. The silence was loud, and fans noticed. Discussions exploded online. Caitlin's fans argued she was elevating the visibility of women's sports. Critics accused her of overshadowing teammates or chasing personal glory. But Caitlin wasn't trying to overshadow anyone. She was simply following her passion. And in doing so, she brought positive attention to herself and to the league. The fact that her success was seen as a threat said much more about her detractors than it did about her .1 outspoken WNBA player even rolled her eyes at press conference when asked about Caitlin's performance at the RSM Classic. She said, "We should focus on players who are actually helping the league grow. Golf isn't filling seats at our games." The comment was harsh, but it also revealed a deeper insecurity. Caitlin's rising popularity was shining a light on the WNBA's struggle to market its stars. And instead of addressing those issues, some players were simply venting their frustration. Caitlin, meanwhile, continued handling everything with grace. In interviews, she stayed upbeat, talking about her love for golf and the pure joy it brought her. "I just enjoy having fun and competing, challenging myself," she said in a post-round interview. Sports, she explained, are meant to unite people, and she was trying to do exactly that. Her humility and genuine nature only made fans adore her more. The crossover effect has been incredible. At the RSM Classic, families waited in long lines to meet her. Young girls looked up to her as a role model. Even seasoned golfers were drawn to her charisma. From her 270-yard drives to her candid conversations, her moments went viral. She wasn't just a basketball player dabbling in golf. She was becoming a cultural phenomenon across both sports.